There are people in your life right now that God has already decided to remove, not because He is angry with you, not because you did something wrong, but because He can see what is waiting for you on the other side of that relationship, and He knows you cannot get there while they are still in the picture. This is not about cutting people off. This is about recognizing when God already has. Because here is what nobody tells you. Every day you fight to keep who He is releasing. You are delaying something He has been trying to build in you. You are holding the door open that He is trying to close. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do is hold on. We are going to look at 6 of them today. But the 6th, the last one, is going to be the hardest to hear. Because this is not someone you dislike. This is someone you love. Stay with me, because we will get there. The book of Proverbs says this: "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Everything. Your peace, your purpose, your future. It all flows from what and who you allow close to your heart." God is not removing people from your life to punish you. He is guarding your heart when you will not guard it yourself. By the end of this, you will be able to recognize the people He is releasing, and you will finally have permission to stop holding on. Number 6. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller than when you walked in? You did not argue. Nothing dramatic happened. But somewhere between hello and goodbye, something in you deflated. You drove home quieter than usual. And you could not quite explain why. That is not a coincidence. That is a signal. The constant critic does not always shout. Sometimes they are subtle. A comment about your weight. A question about your job that sounds like concern but lands like doubt. A laugh at the wrong moment. A silence that speaks louder than any word. And over time, the cumulative weight of those moments begins to reshape how you see yourself. I knew a woman who stayed in a friendship for 11 years because they went way back. 11 years of coffee. 11 years of catching up. And every single time she drove home, she felt it, that quiet deflation, that invisible smallness. She stayed because leaving felt cruel, but staying was costing her something she could not name. Proverbs 12 verse 18 says this: "The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." Words that wound you consistently are not correction. They are not honesty. They are weapons whether the person holding them knows it or not. God designed words to build. When someone's words consistently tear you down, consistently leave you doubting your worth, your calling, your ability to hear from God, that pattern is not neutral. And you do not have to keep showing up for it. Distance is not abandonment. Distance is discernment. Sometimes God removes the constant critic not by making them disappear, but by making it clear to you that you no longer have to keep walking through that door. Number 5 is harder to spot. Because this person does not wound you, they comfort you, and that is exactly the problem. Number 5. This one sounds like a blessing. It is not. The comfort zone enabler is one of the most dangerous people in your life because they feel safe. They never challenge you. They always agree. When you talk about the dream God placed in your heart, they smile and say that sounds nice. When you talk about the fear stopping you, they say you do not have to do it if you are not ready. They mean well. They love you. And they are quietly keeping you in a place God never meant you to stay. Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to give you hope and a future. Those plans require movement. They require risk. They require seasons of discomfort that your comfort zone enabler will always talk you out of." Here is what nobody says about comfort. It feels like peace, but it is not always the same thing. God's peace passes understanding. God's comfort often arrives in the middle of obedience, not as a substitute for it. And if the most consistent voice around you is one that keeps you comfortable, keeps you small, keeps you safe from the very leap God is asking you to take, that voice, however kind, is working against your destiny. Ask God right now to show you who in your life is keeping you comfortable in a place He never meant you to stay. The answer may be closer than you expect. But if you think that one is difficult to accept, number 4 will shake you. Because this person goes to church. Number 4. There was a woman in a small group. Every Sunday, she was there. She knew the scripture references. She prayed out loud with authority. She always had a word for someone who was struggling. But whenever a member of that group came to her with a step of faith, a new calling, a business, a ministry, they felt God leading them toward her, response was always the same. Be careful. Are you sure? What if it does not work? Maybe wait a little longer. The words were wrapped in scripture, but the spirit behind them was fear. 2 Timothy 3:5. Paul writes about people who have a form of godliness but deny its power. And then he says something most people skip right over. He says, have nothing to do with such people. Not pray for them from a safe distance, not gently correct them over time. Have nothing to do with them. The spiritual counterfeit is dangerous because they carry the vocabulary of faith while operating in the spirit of doubt. They can make fear sound like wisdom. They can make hesitation sound like discernment. And because they quote scripture, you trust them even as everything they say pulls you further from what God is asking you to do. Here is how you test it. Not their words, their fruit. Does this person's consistent influence pull you toward God or toward doubt? Does time with them leave your faith stronger or smaller? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. If even one of these has been true for you, if you recognize someone in number 6, number 5, or number 4, I want you to type 3 words in the comments right now. Let go, Lord. That is all. 3 words. I read every one. Now stay with me, because the next ones go even deeper. Number 3. This person is not your enemy. I want you to hold that before I say anything else. They are hurting. They have been hurt deeply, maybe for a very long time. And because of that, they see the world through a particular lens, a lens of disappointment, of betrayal, of wounds that never fully closed. And every time you spend time with them, you borrow that lens. You leave a little heavier, a little more suspicious, a little more guarded against the very people and opportunities God is sending your way. Remember the constant critic from number 6? This is different. That person knew they were wounding you, some part of them did. This person genuinely believes they are helping. They warn you because they were burned. They pull you back because they once stepped forward and fell and no one caught them. But Hebrews 12:15 says this, see to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Bitterness does not stay where it started. It spreads. One unhealed person in your inner circle can quietly defile your perspective, your trust, your ability to receive what God is trying to give you. You can love someone and not absorb their wounds. You can pray for them and not sit under their bitterness. Compassion does not require proximity. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is create enough space that their pain stops becoming yours. Number 2 is one that hit me differently when I first understood it. Because these people are often the loudest voices in the room, and they almost always mean well. Number 2. In the book of Numbers, chapter 13, Moses sent 12 spies into the promised land. 12 men, same God, same mission, same land they were all promised. And 10 of them came back and said, the land is good, but we cannot take it. The people there are giants. We are like grasshoppers in their sight. Only 2 said, we can do this. Joshua and Caleb. Now here is what I need you to understand about those 10 spies. They were not enemies. They were not ungodly men. They were fellow believers, chosen by Moses himself, standing at the very edge of what God had promised them. And they still looked at that promise and said, it is too much. We are too small. The dream thief does not usually look like an obstacle. They look like a friend, a family member, a mentor who has been around long enough to know how things usually go. And their counsel is almost always dressed in concern. Be realistic. Be careful. What if you fail? Have you really thought this through? Caleb silenced the crowd and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it, but the 10 were louder. And that generation spent 40 years in the wilderness for what should have been an 11-day journey. Count the voices around you. How many push you forward and how many pull you back? God rarely calls you forward through fearful counsel. And the people he removes from your path are often not the ones who hate you. They are the ones who love you and are still afraid. And now, the one I promised you at the very beginning. Number 1. The hardest one. Stay with me. Number 1. What if the person God is asking you to release is not someone you dislike, not someone who wounded you or drained you or doubted you? What if it is someone you love, someone who has walked with you through some of the hardest seasons of your life, and yet their presence is quietly, consistently pulling you away from God? Not dramatically, not in any way you could easily explain to someone else, just gradually, slowly. Church becomes less of a priority when you are around them. Prayer feels less natural. The things of God become slightly uncomfortable in their company. And over time, without realizing it, you have begun shaping yourself around their comfort instead of God's calling. Jesus said it plainly, Matthew 10:37. Anyone who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He did not say that to wound you. He said it because he knew what misplaced loyalty costs. He knew that the people you love most have the greatest power to redirect your life, and not always toward him. Abraham heard God say, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you." God did not ask Abraham to stop loving his family. He asked him to go, and from that single act of obedience, leaving the people he loved, an entire nation was born. This is the one I warned you about at the start, the one almost no one wants to admit, because it is one thing to release a critic. It is another thing entirely to release someone you love. But every item on this list has been building to this one truth. Every person God removes is protection, not punishment. Every separation is preparation, not abandonment. And the people he is asking you to release, even the ones you love most, are not being erased from your story. They are being moved from a position where they were blocking the very thing he has prepared for you. You do not have to stop loving them. You have to stop letting their presence determine your direction. We have covered all 6, but before this ends, there is one more thing, and it is not a person. It may be the very reason you have been fighting every one of these removals. Every time God moved to release someone, something in you grabbed tighter, something panicked, something said, "I cannot let this go." That something is your old self, the version of you that was built around those relationships, around that approval, around that familiar circle of faces that made you feel like you knew who you were. And as long as you are holding on to who you were, you cannot fully step into who he is making you. God is not just removing people from your life. He is removing a version of you that cannot carry what he is about to give you. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Everything he has for you, the peace, the purpose, the right people he has already written into your next season, all of it flows from a heart that is protected, positioned, and fully his. He is not removing people to leave you empty. He is removing them to make room. Every name God has written into your future requires a name he is writing out of your present. Trust his editing. He has never gotten it wrong. Don't stop him. If one name came to mind during this video, maybe one face you kept seeing, leave it in the comments. Which one on this list did you already let go, and what changed after you did? I want to hear your story. And if this reached you today, share it with someone who needs permission to finally let go. God may be using you to deliver that message.